Time now for our Rants and Raves, starting with Dan.
I have a rant for Alden Global Capital, which is the hedge fund that owns 100 newspapers, including the Boston Herald, the Lowell Sun, and the Fitchburg Sentinel. The Washington Post reported this week that Alden grabbed the money from the reporters' pension funds and invested it in two of their own hedge funds located in the Cayman Islands.
Did it work?
There is no evidence that the employees suffered for this, and the money has been moved out again. But you're not supposed to be doing this sort of self-serving dealing with employee pension funds, and the Department of Labor is now investigating. Reportedly, this could interfere with Alden's hopes of acquiring the Gannett chain. I hope it does.
Wow. Interesting. All right, Adam.
I want to rave real quickly for a piece that ran in Current Affairs magazine, which is super left, totally in the tank for Bernie Sanders. But putting that out there, it was a hit piece directed at Pete Buttigieg called All About Pete.
Did they call his mother?
Which made, I don't think they called his mom, but it's a piece that makes the argument that Pete Buttigieg, contrary to all the positive spin that he's been getting in the media lately, is this terrifyingly manipulative and incapable of empathy individual who's got this will to power that we're currently seeing play out. It may not be true. I'm sure it's overstated, but there's nothing I enjoy quite as much. Well, there's some things, but it's really fun to read a great hit piece where a lot of time is taken. They've really done their homework. It's not just a counterintuitive take, but they are like prosecuting the case against an individual. And this is a good example of the genre. So I urge people, whether you like Pete Buttigieg or you don't, to check it out.
He does admit that he goes into it with a bias.
Oh, yeah. He's very upfront about that.
Yeah, but some of it seemed a little petty.
Some of it's a little petty, but some of it kind of makes you think
if you have a
twice about
bias,
this
you're going
guy.
to be a little petty. Isn't that part of it?
That's the joy of having a bias.
And he knows his stuff. There's a lot of talk about his memoir, and does he talk about any of the people in South Bend and any of the problems in South Bend? And according to this, the answer is not.
And he
really
says
that much.
he's not quick enough to come up with policy, and he's not thoughtful about what some of his programs means. I'm not going to do that on day one.
Right. He doesn't want to be pressed on his actual ideas, so it's good. It's a good read.
All right, Callie.
So Pete Buttigieg factors into my rave. I'm raving Rachel Maddow. I happened to be watching her on Monday night and saw this incredible exchange with him. She's been interviewing all of the candidates, and she asked him a question that just actually could not have been asked certainly of a presidential candidate, but I think of most anybody probably in public life in the way that she did. So let's take a look.
I bring this up and I acknowledge it's a difficult question, not because it's bad that you didn't come out to your 33, but I think it would have killed me to be closeted for that long. I just think about what it takes as a human being to know something and to have to bifurcate your public life. I just wonder if that was hurtful to you, if it hurt you to do it.
It was hard.
So there you have an out gay host asking this guy who is out and gay a question that nobody else has asked him.
Yeah.
And she framed it in a way of saying, it took you a long time. That's your business. But I just want to know, what does that say about you? And what do you want to say to us about what this says?
I wish she had put it that way.
She did.
She said, did it hurt you?
Yeah, well, it was more in there. That's a little bit of editing. But
right.
It was more in there. I thought it was very, and she acknowledged up front, this makes me uncomfortable, but I really feel, and I think she felt like she was the one that could ask that.
Exactly. Who else could have?
Yeah, right.
I've had a hard time, as she's done a lot more mugging for the camera, the sort of protracted 20-minute free association where she's really snarky. That doesn't do a lot for me, but that shows how good she can be when the moment is right. Because, I haven't seen anyone ask something quite like that.
I do not know why MSNBC likes these long monologues. She's always been better in conversation with people.
Oh, I don't know about that. All right, Joanna.
So I have a rave. Everyone's unionizing in the media now, but here's a new one. Some meme makers, people who make those little kind of funny, snarky, squares of... They are banding together and trying to unionize, in a sense, against Instagram. Here are some people saying, look, we're creating all this content. Instagram and Facebook, which owns Instagram, is making a ton of money off of the funny little crazy things that we are making. And we want either a cut of the action or at least some sort of, some rules about what they take down and what they keep up. And they're basically saying, like, let's rejigger the playing field a little bit here. I mean, it's interesting to me at a time when everyone's sort of talking about concerns about data and this business model that's based on everything's free, but you get all your data, and people are kind of thinking about other options, to start thinking about maybe content creators who are creating, the foundation of why people are using and reading and sharing. Maybe they get a cut of the action and other people pay in different ways. I feel like it's just an interesting, they may never be able to get an official labor union that's, recognized by a labor board. But to start the conversation this way, I think is really interesting.
Because they take a lot of time making those. And I think to myself, who has the time?
They're funny.
Russian trolls.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, well, finally, I have a rant tonight for reporters in press conferences in general, oftentimes at the White House, maybe the State Department, the Pentagon, but these two-part questions. And we saw it the other day when William Barr came out. He only took 6 questions. And the first 2 reporters did two-part questions. And by the way, no one can hear them. Whoever's answering them can't remember what they were. Here's an example of, this is Pierre Thomas, not to pick on him, because I love Pierre, but he was the first one to do it.
The special counsel indicate that he wanted you to make the decision, or that it should be left for Congress? And also, how do you respond to criticism you're receiving from congressional Democrats?
It's like you're going to answer one question or the other. That's what always happens. And usually they answer the last one first, because you can't even remember what that question, by the way, was a lot longer than that. We edited it down. And then the next reporter did the same thing. And I think Barr said, I can't remember. That happens all the time.
I think in that one, Barr dodged the second tough question because he had a chance,
also,
because there were
what's
2.
wrong with just coming up with one good, solid question and then letting your colleagues answer the next one? I don't understand it. They just want to grab the...
Because they're afraid he's not going to answer but 1 or 2. That's what it
But they want more for themselves, too.
Well, okay.